everybody, it's Zeidoktor here, and this episode of the Typical Manga Review is going to be dedicated to Akame ga Kill, Chapter 75, Kill Esdeath. Yeah, that'll happen. Well, probably not this chapter, though. I'm going to spoil that for you right now. But we are opening with Tatsumi pretty much just going full dragon after defeating the ultimate Tegu. Like, he's just transformed fully. And we get a nice page of, nice color, well, not color, but nice cover page of Esdeath, just smiling wickedly with her Tegu symbol on her chest, just kind of burning off there. After the cover, we come to flashback mode, where we see Akame was apparently trying to use multiple Tegu the way Wave did, but with the compatibility issue involved, it's not something she can do. The only thing she can use is Murasame. So the only route she has left, which the doctor they're talking to is opposing, is using use strength enhancing drugs. And the doctor warns that they'll have an effect while you're using them, but for that, even at best, using a powerful drug even once will dull those sharp and keen senses you've honed from being in the mountains. For an assassin whose life can hang in the balance on that very paper thin difference, that could be fatal. You might end up handicapped or disabled from it. But Akame is not worried. She doesn't care what happens after, as long as she can do this. No matter what the outcome, this is the final battle. Her duty is to bury Esdeath. And if she can raise the probability of success by even a little bit, even 1%, any risk is justified. And Agenda knows that if this weren't the final battle, she would be absolutely against it also. Especially since Akame's strength is drawn from like a cool, collected focus. Drugging her up under any other circumstances would be an idiotic move. But again, this is the last battle. It's not any other circumstance. If Akame herself is willing to do this and thinks it will bring her closer to victory, then Agenda will give her her way. The doctor agrees, and the doctor hands over the drugs. And apparently, they are drugs he'd recovered from the young members of the Empire's assassination squad, and apparently blended with his own Tegu to create something new. And he tells Akame to administer it just before her battle with Esdeath. And as for its effects, I can guarantee its potency, but I have no way of knowing what will happen after. And back in the present, she is fighting Esdeath to a stance pretty evenly at the moment. Esdeath notes that the Supreme Tegu has been taken down. Akame notes that tells her that the Empire has crumbled. Of course, Esdeath doesn't mind. Yeah, the Empire is finished, but that means starting now, this is my fight. I can do whatever I want. And she starts fighting a lot harder. And during the fight, Esdeath realizes that she's adding more patterns to her instant death sword. She's adapting and taking countermeasures against Esdeath's power. Now she's able to even react to the attacks, which means she's got to start outplaying Akame, which just makes her very happy. Yeah, we get a big old panel of them like just fighting each other. It's like, and it's like, this is my favorite dance. I just love it. Meanwhile, the rebellion soldiers are seeing Tatsumi has turned into a dragon, and the same doctor from the flashback, realizing that one of the attacks fatally wounded Tatsumi, which should have undone the transformation, but the armor itself forced him back on the action. He's been possessed by Incursio. Yep. Apparently, because even after being stripped and used the materials to build the Tegu, the armor, the dragon's muscles were still alive. And he also noticed that Tatsumi's overwhelming passion, like his desire to fight that particular enemy, went into his body and kept him going. But as for what will happen now, no clue. Tellingly, the soldiers are actually wondering what can they do to save Tatsumi now. Like the army seems to agree now that if there's anything they can do, they want to save him. And the doctor as well is like, because he's the one who brought an end to this dark age where life was so trivial. Okay. Meanwhile, we see Wave reuniting with Kurome. He's actually not disabling his Tegu yet, but it's like he's able to save people from the indiscriminate attacks of like the Emperor's Tegu, and it was all because she let him go. You were the one that saved them. Okay, that's a bit corny, but what are you gonna do? Wave picks up Kurome. He's like, they're about to going to their final destination. Oh, that is not a death flag. She asks Chromie asks if he's okay, but he's like, if I dispel my Tegu now, it'll be days before I recover enough stamina to keep going. And that happens, we'll have to walk slowly, just like we did when we came up the mountain here. It'd take too long. Meanwhile, at the capital, Tatami is pushing himself to the very limit to fight, so this will be where I show what I'm made of. And goodbye to you, Wave. Back in the capital, Akame's fight with Esdeath is not looking good for Akame. I guess that's known that she seems finished already, even with the threat of the instant death blade. Well, at least you entertained me a while. You know, when all the smoke clears, maybe I'll go somewhere else, search for another war, or even just start one myself. But Akame, almost looking almost possessed, like declaring that she'll see Esdeath dead here and now. And Esdeath's wondering, like, pretty much asks you and what army. To which we see the rebel army. Every Tegu user they've got at their disposal is ready to fight. And Nintendo arrives and congratulates Akame on keeping Esdeath occupied. They've got her surrounded, they've got the formation assembled. Esdeath is, and she did all this with knowing full well that Esdeath was aware she was being surrounded and didn't make the slightest attempt to escape. Mostly because it was going to be an awesome fight. Esdeath cries out that, Nagenda, you apparently got some kind of secret Tegu as a counter against me. So, of course, it turns out that might have been a bluff. Like, they leaked out bits of intelligence hinting at the existence of a secret weapon to stall for time. But yeah, it's just purely a bluff. Everything's going just as planned. As soon as the chaotic brawl breaks out, Akame was going to slip into the ranks of soldiers and wait for Esdeath to show an opening, then just assassinate her. Like, that whole big fight earlier was the show. She's going to slip in during the big old brawl. Nagenda's a little worried because he hasn't seen Leon anywhere, but there's nothing that they can do about that right now. In order to beat Esdeath, what they need is over 100,000 soldiers, or at least 10 or more Tegu users, and Akame. Well, actually, over 100,000 soldiers, 10 or more Tegu users, and Akame, like all of that together. With all of that combined, there needs to be the equivalent of over 1 million men. And as is like noticing that she's how confident Nagenda looks, and that she can't wait to see that face twist in despair. Nagenda points out that the Empire soldiers have surrendered. We've taken out all the other key players, and your Jaegers are gone. The only allies you've left here are your Ice Cavalry. But even now, they've been surrounded and won't be coming to save her. They're going to take her out in a war of attrition, crush her under the weight of 1 million soldiers. Like, first wave, charge, second wave, ready. They're going to start attacking in shifts to kill Esdeath. But Esdeath is not even the least bit worried, which is bothering her, which is troubling. Because, like, did you really think you beat me with a mere measly 1 million men? Say that 5 times fast. And at this point, we see the, and she uses what she's calling a technique that she can only use now that there are no allies anymore. All of the Ice Cavalry seems to just break up, and all of its power seems to be going right back to her. All the power she distributed to her Ice Cavalry, it's all returning to her. Jenna didn't realize she could do that, just turn it off, basically. And apparently, she's been creating the Ice Cavalry one by one for the past several days, which means she's been storing up the last few days with the power in them. And now it's all coming down on them. Yep. And the next she releases an ice attack that is so big, it looks like it's not only visible from like the city, it looks like it even affects a good chunk of the continent. And now Esdeath's in the eye of a snowstorm. And she pretty much compares it to, for some reason, the scan later decided to use Russian winter, despite the fact that the Akame world has no Russia. But the description is not wrong. A massive portion of this country is now covered in ice and snow. It will not just kill you here, but every single one of your friends anywhere in this land. And don't give me some weak battle of attrition. Put your lives on the line. Come at me like you're ready to die. Nintendo is shocked because her direct subordinates are still on the Western Warfront fighting. Like, knowing that you'd still let them get caught in this out there would be out of the range. But she points out that that would put them just out of the range of this attack. I mean, she does have a little concern and consideration for their families. Well, a little anyways. agenda does start to twist into despair. Like the Supreme Tegu was capable of attacking even castles or the capital, but Esdeath herself was capable of attacking the very world and its lands. Esdeath, you truly are a born reaper. And we cut backwards to Esdeath's past, where she's all just very happy while she's surrounded by mutilated danger beasts. Esdeath points out that stones with a strong enough vitality will survive against the snow and ice, and the weak will die. Simply, it's just like that. Fighting against those that make it through this weeding out of the weak, I look forward to it. Some of the other fighters are there like, she isn't human. She's like a natural disaster with consciousness, and a wicked one. And everyone starts charging her directly. Of course, unfortunately, Esdeath notes that with everything snowing as the way it is, she has full access to her abilities. And the one that's charging her, who kind of looks like Mikumi from Shokugeki no Soma, gets frozen in the block of ice right off the bat. And Esdeath's like just glad at this expression on Agenda's face. That is just what she wanted to see. And up until now, they managed to fulfill their message without having to defeat her. However, I'll warn you that this time, it won't be over unless you beat me. Shiver and freeze beneath the storm of my almighty power. And that is where the chapter ends. And holy crap. Like, Esdeath, Esdeath is... This is pretty much we're in, big old final stage here. Esdeath is not going to go down easily. There is no way. I mean, whether it's Akame who does it, or Tatsumi who does it in dragon form, I have no idea what's going to happen with this fight, but it's gotten pretty crazy here. Listen, right now so we still haven't seen anything with Leon, so she's MIA, presumably KIA, but I know there's quite a bit of hope on that one. I know some comments are still hoping that she's around somewhere, and I do too. Wave and Kuromi are getting the hell out of there. So now I wonder if they got caught up in the snow anywhere. God, wouldn't that be a thing if that's what makes Esdeath stop, but I doubt she would. But yeah, Esdeath has pretty much arranged things so at the moment she was on her own, she could just unleash frozen hell and go Dante on everybody's asses. That is where we are right now. They've got to throw literally everything they have at her, and hopefully, and just pray it'll be enough. Of course, the question is, what'll exactly happen? How many people are going to get killed doing all this? So I think at this moment, we got Wave and Kuromi out of the line of fire. Leon's nowhere to be seen. Agenda and Akame are right in the thick of it. Tatsumi is Dragonborn. So the question is, will he interfere? Will he even be part of this fight, or is something else going to be going on with him? I can see it going either way, really. But now we're kind of rushing towards our conclusion at this, so it's just a matter of getting to that point, I guess. I am eager to see what will happen with the next chapter, because this is the moment you've been waiting for type of situation. This is like a fight that we've been the final fight with Esdeath has been something that's been kind of sitting around for quite a long time now. So it's just a matter of what's going to happen here. But yeah, this has been a pretty epic little setup right here. The Ice Cavalry pretty much just being there to charge her up when everything else was out of the way. And she even factored in the idea that everyone else would be beaten except for her. Yeah. Actually, I just remembered there is one more player that's still unaccounted for yet, the Prime Minister. Don't know what he's doing at the moment, but we're going to see what he's up to. What if Tatsumi will eat him? That would be nice and poetic. Yeah, that's going to be my prediction. I want to see Dragon Form Tatsumi eat the Prime Minister. Just because evil glutton that he is, that would be the perfect way to take him out. And with that, I'm going to call the review here. That has been the typical manga review for Akame ga Kill, Chapter 75, Kill Esdeath. Until then, since this is a monthly series, you have a good time. We'll see you next month on this.